support in Indian Wells. Look at this. I mean, this was in Australia. Court 6 literally had a line. I know I'm exaggerating, but it went for miles at the Aussie. It was wild scenes there. Allie, can you remember a women's star who gets this type of support wherever she goes?
Yeah, well, Taylor Swift. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
On March 4th, 2026, Indian Wells tournament organizers revealed something that no WTA 1000 event had ever revealed for a player ranked 31st in the world. Officially, their practice courts were being overtaken by the Eala effect. The fans weren't anticipating the game. Filipino communities spread throughout California, which is home to the country's largest Filipino population, roughly 2 million people. Before a single ball had been hit in competition, they were already packing every training session. Between those crowded courts and the secondary ticket market reports made by experts like Pro Tennis Stories 360, which highlighted a big ticket craze with demand surges that exceeded everything anticipated for early round matches, there were no finals, semifinals, or practice sessions. It became impossible to overlook one question. How did one Filipino player make the WTA's largest North American swing a sellout event before the bracket even opened? The response will begin on March 26, 2025. Ranked 140th in the world, Alex Eala entered the 2025 Miami Open as a wild card. Who was her opponent? Iga Swiatek, ranked second in the world, was the most dominant player in women's tennis at the time. What came next was a systematic disassembly rather than an upset in the conventional sense. Swiatek was forced to make 32 unintentional mistakes as a result of Eala's left-handed serve, which clocked at about 90 miles per hour on first tries and 75 on second. Eala only earned 12. Eala converted 8 out of 10 break points, or 80%. 6-2, 7-5 was the final score. And the total prize money for that one tournament came to $332,160. It almost doubled all of Eala's earnings from her previous career. In just 1 week, her ranking jumped 65 places, from 140 to 75. Sponsor talks increased, Grand Slam main draw entrants became available, and the WTA's business infrastructure began to recalculate.
you know, I'd have to say maybe a little bit of Sonia Mirza. Back in her heyday, obviously the Indian fans took to her and they followed her all around the globe, obviously not to this extent. And I think the ceiling that Alex Eala has is obviously that much higher. And I'm gonna bring in a little boxing here because my dad wanted me to be a boxer, but I chose tennis. But Manny Pacquiao.
Good call.
Manny Pacquiao, we saw him when he, was at the top of his game. And alongside Roger Federer, he actually had more prize money. So I think that if Eala, can keep doing well with her tennis, who knows? The sky's the limit on the court, off the court. I mean, she could be rolling in it, if you will.
However, the outcome of Dubai's ticket markets almost a year later cannot be explained by that victory alone. You must comprehend what analysts now refer to as the movable home court advantage in order to comprehend that. The majority of professional athletes have a single home city and fan base. Alex Eala employs about 2 million Filipinos in California and about 1 million Filipinos abroad in Dubai. In the WTA's 2026 Middle East and North American trips, that happens to be nearly every stop on the schedule. She brings the equivalent of a home audience to every city with a significant Filipino diaspora. The impact was quantifiable in hard dollars in the 2026 Dubai Duty-Free Tennis Championships. The starting price for official tickets was 65 dirhams, or around $17.70. That was the point of ingress. Then, on February 17th, Eala overcame world number 8 and current Dubai champion Jasmine Paolini 6-1, 7-6, after falling behind 5-6 in the second set tiebreak. The secondary market reacted to the mood in that stadium, which was described by several players and analysts as being unlike anything seen at an A1000 event. Significant selling premiums on Eala's quarterfinal sessions began to surface quickly. For many in that market, the 65 dirham face value was now a starting point rather than a ceiling. At that point, the players themselves began to validate what the statistics had already revealed.
She's got a smile that lights up a room too, you know. And I remember last year when she beat Iga Swiatek, and she kind of did it with a lot of grace and humility, you know. And it was really, for me, it was terrific to see her take that match and watch her play after that, and watch her try to continue to progress, because I like her game. You know, obviously. She wants to get better than where she is now, than 32 in the world, but she's got a lot of good hand-eye coordination and ability to take the ball early and redirect. But the fan stuff is always fun for me, because whenever you see players from smaller countries, the fans are so passionate when they get up to the top.
It's interesting, Ali mentioned Sonia Mirza. She has nearly 13 million followers on Instagram. That's 5 million more than Carlos Alcaraz, and nearly as many as Alcaraz and Sabalenka combined. So that's how big Sonia Mirza is, was, and will be. But Eala going to be seeded for the first time at a 1,000. To find out who she will play in the second round, check out the draw.
After defeating Eala 6-0, 6-2 in that Dubai quarterfinal, world number 4 Coco Gauff openly complimented Eala for introducing a new audience to the sport. Take a moment to consider that. A player in the top 5 is admitting that the opponent she just defeated 6-0 in the first set is contributing to the WTA's commercial reach in a way that Gauff's own performance had not. Jessica Pegula went on to discuss Eala's capacity to fill stadiums. These are market evaluations given in post-match press conferences by the sport's own elite, not compliments amongst friends. The institutional response from the WTA was equally straightforward. The first Philippine Women's Open 125 event is scheduled for January 2026, according to the organization. In its entire history, the Philippines have never hosted a WTA event. Within a year following the Miami upset, the Eala impact generated one. Here's what the data supports and what the mainstream media consistently ignores. Eala was the most sought-after Filipino celebrity in Google's Year in Search in 2025. Out of all the Filipino athletes that were searched, she came in at number 4, only lagging behind important international boxing and basketball matches. Over 170,000 people watched a pre-tournament press conference for the 2026 Australian Open on YouTube. Alexandra Eala Greatness highlight reels had 254,000 views. The 2025 U.S. Open's tiebreak highlights brought in 1.2 million. Despite having a ranking that had never once broken into the top 30 until February 23, 2026, Eala's Instagram account had amassed almost 800,000 followers by early 2026, making her one of the most followed players on the WTA Tour outside of the top 10. Eala became the highest-ranked Filipino in WTA history on that day, reaching global number 31. However, neither the cost of tickets nor the number of viewers is the most illuminating piece of information in this whole narrative. Eala reportedly accepted a $45 million endorsement agreement with Wilson Sporting Goods, according to a rumor that went viral in September and December of 2025. Fact-checking organizations investigated it. Wilson and Eala's team did not make any statements, nor was there a deal. The market's estimate of Eala's endorsement value had already surpassed what the inked contracts actually showed, so even though the narrative was wholly made up, it continued to circulate. Her certified sponsorships are genuine and expanding. Eala's photo is currently on display at Nike World Headquarters in Oregon with the company's all-time icons, having been a part of Nike for more than 5 years. When Eala was 8 years old, Globe Telecom signed her as an ambassador. Philippine Islands Bank, Babalat. Juice locally. That is a respectable and growing portfolio. However, the verifiable data cannot tell you what the $45 million fraud does. The discrepancy between Eala's actual present deals and what a significant section of the world's audience considers her commercial ceiling to be is so great that millions of people would find a totally made-up transaction plausible. That is a valuation signal rather than a misinformation issue. As of March 3, 2026, Eala had already earned $291,000 in prize money from her first round bye at Indian Wells as the 31st seed. According to analysts, she is on track for a career-best financial year, possibly earning $1 million if she maintains a top 35 ranking through the Grand Slam season. Due in large part to the sticker shock scandal and the audience figures associated with each of these matches, broadcast rights specialists have already predicted a devaluation of WTA broadcast rights in the Philippines and the Middle East. The defining tension at every tournament she competes in is the fans meeting with secondary market prices that are entirely disconnected from official face values. The same analysts who monitored the spike in Dubai tickets are already speculating about a possible third-round showdown with Coco Gauff somewhere in that Indian Wells bracket. This is the issue that no professional tennis player has yet to address. What will happen the day Alex Eala makes it to a Grand Slam final if the Ayala effect continues to drive secondary markets, broadcast revaluations, and institutional WTA responses at this rate?